Welcome to T-Minus Attending, and I'm your host, Dr. Shishir Shah. I'm a wound care specialist, entrepreneur, private equity operating partner, proud father, and educator. Our goal at T-Minus Attending is to empower new and experienced medical professionals to lead better and live better so they can fulfill their personal professional lives as they grow into their careers. So this is our sixth episode, and I'm honored to introduce our nationally renowned and our very own local guest here in Phoenix, Arizona, and someone I'm proud to call a colleague, Dr. Victor Waters. He's our Chief Medical Officer at Dignity Health Arizona Central and the West Valley markets. He's board certified in internal medicine. He's actually had a former career in wound management, so I'm a little bit interested in that, of course, and for selfish reasons. And he's also interestingly an attorney, an entrepreneur, a board member for two healthcare organizations. He leverages his global-minded expertise in risk, compliance, and marketing to engage with investors. He develops strategies, advice on technology and innovation. He's also a former athlete, which I did not know about, but I had to find out about indirectly through social media. Just learned about him, more and more about him recently. In fact, he partnered with, and I'm not sure I'm going to butcher this name, but Marietta Nioscopola de Silva at Dancing with the Stars. So he's a dancer, entrepreneur, physician, attorney du jour. So welcome, Dr. Waters.
Not quite a dancer, but I do my best. It was all linked into my community outreach for chronic renal failure in the community, particularly in the underserved population. And the National Kidney Foundation had this 18-year dance competition with the stars in Arizona. So I was sort of voluntold, but in May, it was fun.
I'm going to have to catch a YouTube clip or a video because I want to do an action.
Yeah, there's clips all over in LinkedIn, and my daughter came from town, and she was a dancer. What really mattered to me, Dr. Shah, was that my daughter was a dancer. I used to watch her dance, modern jazz, and tap, and then go to her concerts. She flew into town, saw my dress rehearsal, gave me some pointers, and then saw the show. There was nothing better and more rewarding than to be able to share that with my daughter.
It's sort of reciprocal. As parents, we grow up going to all our kids' functions and tournaments and ballet, and here they are watching you, and you're getting that inspiration and that support. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Circle of life.
Was a wonderful moment for me. Yeah,
excellent. And not even get to add in here, and I can say this because it takes one to know one, but if any of you are listening to Dr. Waters right now, he has a little bit of East Coast dialect in him. And accuse me of New Jersey, and I'm going to call him on being a New Yorker in New Jersey. But,
that's right. We're neighbors. I lived in Jersey too, so yeah, I got the best of both worlds.
Yes, and you went to Rutgers Law, so obviously,
yes.
Near and dear to me. A lot of my family went there. So once again, Thank you. I think we have a lot of fun talking. Get to learn about you. And look, our audience are up-and-coming physicians, finishing residency, fellowship, young doctors, wanting to learn from people like you and hear from you. So we're going to have some fun. And, tell us a little bit about, I know you have the law degree and the medical degree, and growing up, is this what you always wanted to do and what you thought?
Let me summarize it this way. I grew up first to go to college, and I was told I would never make it to college. I ended up attending an Ivy League school, Brown University. I was told I could never be a doctor. I ended up being a doctor and an attorney. I was told that I could never make it as a CMO. I'm not just a CMO. I'm a CMO of one of the largest medical facility centers in our company. And so I've always been the underdog in my whole career. I'm the first to go to college. I grew up in a disadvantaged community. And so something within me, as well as mentorship, helped me navigate these charted waters and not accept no for an answer.
That's very inspirational. I think a lot of our folks have gone through those struggles in life where they've hit barriers, failed, fallen on their feet. And you have that, obviously, that drive in you and the resiliency to say, no, I can do it. And I think a lot of that's built in on nature, but to hear it from you, kind of inspiring. Right.
Thank you. No, thank you. It's what makes me so passionate about serving the community like you, Dr. Shah. We all have stories, and I love relating those stories within my life to patient care, to our physicians like yourself, because that's what drives us to better quality care. It's the team and the respect that we get. And I can't tell you how just honored I am to be around physicians like yourself. And I'm not just saying that. Physicians like yourself are truly and, I'm passionate about care, I'm passionate about the disenfranchised, know how difficult wound care can be and the complexities of that, and navigating all the charted waters around that, and to help me over these past few years to help me with that. Those are true appreciations that come from the roots, if you know what I mean.
It's funny how you can look back and connect the dots now, where you went from Brown to medical school to law school and then wound care, internal medicine, administration. And you probably saw that, that all makes sense how you got there or how you're today. But can you kind of go back for us, just give us a quick summary? Yeah. Led from one step to another, and then you decided to jump from clinical to management?
Yeah, it's good. Good question. First of all, as a kid growing up in the streets, I had no idea. I just wanted to be a doc. And just becoming a doctor was like, oh my God, what else? I never saw anything beyond being a doctor. And I practiced emergency medicine, internal medicine. But I was so grateful just to arrive and have my degree and be an actual doctor. It was nothing more rewarding and satisfying. But then, my mentors began to notice my work ethics. I've always, especially in the emergency room, saw the highest number of patients than any of the other 25 attendings. This is not bragging. I would just committed to care. I would see them rapidly. I had no complaints. And they saw that foundational leadership. I got along with staff. I was an easy person to get along with, even under the stressful times of working in New York hospitals. And I did that consistently for years. So they began to see potential in me that I didn't, and said, you have the potential to be a CMO. And I said, well, if I'm going to be a CMO, then I think differently than the traditional route. Many doctors like myself interested in administration or being mentored into administration would go into an MBA and get an MBA degree, something in finances. I thought differently. I said, I want a law degree because I really want the equipment to help me understand, the law and the concepts that we all interconnect when it comes to law and medicine. I was always fascinated with law and medicine. And I thought that would be the best toolkit for me, and it has. I mean, my return on investment being an attorney physician can measure the value it brought me. So once that I achieved the degree, I started going into administration 20 years ago. And it's been a slow process of growing and understanding, yes, I can do this. Yes, I have the skill sets. I have the equipment, the toolkits, like the law degree and my clinical experience. And through that, I've navigated and been in many big organizations, small hospitals, and learned so much to the point now I've achieved my goal in working in the largest medical center in our system. And I couldn't be more proud. Now, I got to say this, Dr. Shah. If I looked at 20 years ago and someone said you would be a CMO of a large tertiary coronary center, I would look at him and say, you're crazy. That's right. How miraculous this is. I mean, I've had many fork roads in my life, including potentially, including my life. That makes me very grateful for where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's exciting. On the legal piece, I have a little taste. I do a lot of expert legal defense.
Yes.
For nursing homes, for hospitals, yes, physicians like ourselves. And I wish I had gone for a law degree. I feel I kind of earned it, kind of like an honorary PhD, but sure, nowhere near you. And I have to tell our audience that having more education, whether it's business or law, is a big deal. The law makes sense because we're always writing, we're always reading. There's contracts, compliance, risk. The way we write, the way we speak, the way we interpret things matters. And if you have the inherent knowledge or surrounded by someone like you that has that knowledge, it's important to have on your side, because there's a lot of things that we're not taught in clinical medicine. It's the business of medicine, the law of medicine, partnering, relationships, mergers, acquisitions, things like that we talk about on large scales when you look at health systems, practices, private equity, and law is a big piece of that. So I encourage our audience to read constantly, learn constantly. You don't have to get a degree, but if you do, that's even better. I'm really glad you mentioned that, because obviously you saw your ROI. For those of our audience who don't know, the business terms, return on investment. Hope you know what that means with your student loans and other degree. Yeah, I matter.
So true.
That means
so true.
But no, all great points. I sort of know what you do day to day because we work on the same campus.
Yeah.
Just tell us about your average typical work week, including what you did right now with us on the podcast.
You know, what's interesting and what I love about it, and as it translates into the way I worked in emergency medicine, you have some exciting days, you have average days, you always have to expect the unexpected. And as you know, we had the CrowdStrike, IT fiasco global, and they'll be too young to remember the Y2K, that this was back in 2000 was supposed to happen. Well, we've had close to a Y2K challenge that was predicted. That never happened back in 2000. But now here's something that was global that impacted so many institutions, airlines, and hospitals, and common spirit. The system was impacted. So that's when, I had to get up really early. My phone was blasting off. And then as a leader, both clinically and administratively, help the hospital understand the decisions that have to be made. And because you have non-clinical people trying to make these decisions, I have to leverage my experience and my expertise to say no. For example, there was a push to you can feel this, push to go to the paper route and to get off the electronic medical records completely. Now, those that are in this call are going to probably never touch a paper.
Right.
And the residents and fellows today have never written an order. I can't believe it. So when you are trying to implement a paper backup plan, when there are other reasonable, safe options for patient care, my job is to weigh the risk and benefits and return on investment from that. And what is the safest and most reasonable decision? And that's where I come in to make those stands and recommendations and not making things worse or be reactive. And in the emergency world, and, in our medicine world, people may tend to react where we weigh advantages, diagnosis, assessments, and weigh what's best for patient care and make a deliberative decision. That's how we're trained. It's in our blood. And that's what I do administratively, just as an example.
So basically, you need a degree in cybersecurity too, with a law degree.
Yeah. What a day that was! What a day! But to be able to navigate, as leaders, I'm more navigating and helping steer, not doing the work, but really steering them based on the experience I have. And then day-to-day physician challenges, quality challenges in patient care, patient complaints. And also I'm dedicated to doctors themselves without disclosing anything. I have doctors that come in and are sick that are admitted. I make sure they're our doctors, they're my family. I make sure they're taken care of. I go visit them. I care for them like family. So I make sure that their family is taken care of because they dedicated themselves and their careers to this hospital. What more can I do is to serve them and make sure. And that's the way that's what I do, So it's really a wonderful position. And certainly I really can make a difference, even though I'm not practicing clinically anymore, meaning seeing patients on a day-to-day basis. I have a much broader impact in terms of their lifestyle, making their jobs easier.
Look, I don't think our audience appreciates it, but you just gave about 3 hours of dissertation in 5 minutes. I'm going to bring up 3 points you brought up because it's so valuable. So watch their back. You said as a leader, you got to watch their back. Watch you. Yes. You're their servant leader, right? We're watching them. I think a lot of us in medicine are taught we're the leaders and we must control and have type A and grip tight. I think sometimes as leaders, you have to trust the people around you, surround yourself by better, smarter people. Let them empower them and do their thing, and you watch their back, whether they're clinicians, coworkers, executive assistants. And I think that's huge to really learn to back off and then to orchestrate. Like, so you're sometimes navigating and orchestrating. And I just spoke to a CEO this morning regarding a whole different thing, not really to this podcast. And just tell me, the CEO is no different than what you do as a leader at a high level. But often you're at the 30,000 foot level, looking at things, strategy, thinking, planning, and then you're often at the 5 foot level, getting in there, working with CrowdStrike. Maybe you have to learn how to do penmanship again because you got a handwrite. I don't know.
Exactly.
And that's so valuable, Victor. I think it's important for our future leaders, medical leaders of America, to appreciate that you have to earn that leadership too, right? You're the doctor in the room, but people look and watch what you do. You watch them, watch their back. And you probably remember in medical school, I've always been taught, be nice to your nurses. But I think it means more than that. Like, you have to be nice to everybody, but watch their back because they're going to watch yours. And that's
so true. I had gone to dinner with a cardiac group last year, and I asked the doctor where he trained at, and he trained in New Jersey, in Newark.
Okay.
And so I took my cell phone out. I said, and that was 20 years ago after his fellowship. This is many years ago. I took my phone out. I said, "Do you recognize this nurse?" His face turned white. He said, "Oh, yes, that's Maria. She was my cath lab nurse." Well, that's my cousin. And so my cousin, or my wife's family. So I got them both together, and they talked back like, you imagine what it's like. Can you imagine? And she had nothing but respect for him as a fellow 20 years ago, and said, "You know what? I knew he'd be a great doctor. He had the fundamentals. He treated everyone with dignity and respect." And that just, how often as a leader do I get a chance to have an insight of somebody who's been attending for many years? To your point, you have to treat nurses with dignity and respect, because it can come back. It either bites you or bless you.
We know that. We've seen that. And
certainly have.
And then speaking from experience, it's tremendous. Sure. So, hey, let's circle back on some fun stuff. You're very engaged. You're high power. You're like everybody else. You're go, go, go. What do you do to decompress besides dancing, obviously, with the stars?
Oh,
what things do you do?
Well, for years, let's put it this way. 30 years ago, I've been in this business 4 decades and 40 years as of this month. And when I reflect back, people wonder, how could I manage? Because, ER is the highest for burnout. How did I manage, being in a very level 1 trauma, real intense New York, work nights for years? How did I survive that? Well, my motto has been, and I hope people take this to heart, work hard, play harder. When I got off, I just relaxed and slept and traveled and did all kinds of things. I was on a master swim team back then, so I swam. I'm not no professional. I'm nothing on Olympic stuff. But I was with a team. We were very social, and I learned basics of swimming to improve. So I'm always learning. As a doctor, I'm always in the mode of learning. And now, since then, moving up the clock to 2024, I play basketball. I actually had a little scrimmage of basketball with some doctors, believe it or not. If you play ball, they'll pull you out. And they were from 30 to 65. I had all kind of ages. We got together and we slammed it. It was March Madness. And, that's what I do. I did it in California. Doctors, ICU nurses come and play in my house. There's nothing better for people to see who you really are and to have fun. I come back to work and I'm just so energized. So I play basketball, swim. I play the cello. Actually, that's a story in of itself. But I do a lot to have fun and, of course, spend time with my family.
You're just an onion with many layers, sir. I mean, cello, I heard athlete, but I didn't hear multi-sport athlete.
I played football many high school football years ago, and I'm still in touch with my high school football players. Some of them live here in Arizona, and we've reconnected after 50 years, believe it or not. A common theme you're going to hear is relationships. Relationships are so important to me. I have relationships going back to when I was 1 year old that I still have, and they're not doctors. They're in security. They're an actor. That doesn't matter. Those relationships for me are my foundation of how I'm able to be a leader. It keeps me centered because they know who I was when I was a kid.
I can attest to relationship. I barely know you compared to the span of your life and career, 5 years maybe.
Yeah,
I met you the very first time. I think the second time I felt like I knew you forever. And then you took a trip to New York City, and I think I was there the same week. We couldn't connect, but I felt like you were my best friend for 20 years. I think it goes a long way. Relationships, it keeps you grounded, your roots, diversity of thought and mind.
Yes.
It should be better. And look, at the end of the day, when we get old and grow old and pass our careers and money and life, what do you have left? right?
Yeah.
It's not the material things and not the degree you post on your wall, but it's all the touch points you've had with the people in your lives. I think that makes us good individuals, good doctors, good leaders, good humans. I love what you just said.
And, tying to that is well-being and our burnout. And I personally, and I know I personally lost 3 colleagues to completed suicides. They killed themselves. And I won't go into detail, but every story is painful. One was when I was in med school that I knew. Another was an ER attending that I knew. And the third was a trauma surgeon that I knew, all at different ages, and it impacts you, because they're family. And, that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about supporting physicians, because today it's even more difficult to practice. There's so many minefields. So I'm far more like a father figure to the younger doctors, a colleague and a handholder of those who have been around for many years or trying to retire out. I want the transition to be smooth because, it can be troublesome for doctors who are older and kind of set in their ways. And how can I get them across the aisle and finish and also live their retirement years and fulfillment, Yeah,
that's really why we're here today. If you think about it, to get them set up for the future, and even midway through their careers, because it's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. And I'm so glad you're there in the community doing this. It's one-on-one at times, right? Not just at scale that you're doing. And that's tremendous. And I hope our audience gets something out of that. And really lean on your colleagues. It's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
All have that. And we're afraid to ask for help. That's not in our DNA. We're here to help others. But it's like the airplane. If you don't put the oxygen on yourself first, and then you put the oxygen on the person next to you, you've got to help yourself to help others. So
true.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Hey, I knew we were going to talk forever on this, and I try to keep our discussion 30 minutes. I got a few more things for you, man.
Yeah, sure.
What makes you lose sleep at night as a leader in your position? What keeps you up right now?
Well, what keeps me up, if anything, is if there's some patient care outcomes that could have been avoided.
Okay.
I'm really passionate about patient care. So, we deal with very complex patients. And if there's an outcome that maybe we could have done better, that's a huge burden for me. The operational things, and the challenges, that's day-to-day things that I'm adapt to. But when it comes to patient care, there's a death that I know could have been avoided, or if there's a near miss that now I have to address with a physician, the most painful thing is to have to reprimand or a physician that is recalcitrant to, to feedback and is not willing to change and see themselves as they are, and become more dysfunctional in their relationships with nursing and everyone else. Those type of behaviors that I have to be the one to deal with are the ones that keep me up, because I care so much for that person and I know what it can do to their career, either if they're early in their career or later in their career, or mid. Doesn't matter. The bottom line is those are the hard things that I don't that hurt me, because I want the best for that physician. I want them to be happy, but when they are not getting the feedback and taking it well and defensive and just continue on in the same pathway, that's going to lead to uncertain loss of their job, their position, and their reputation. There's nothing more that bothers me than that. Whoever they are, doesn't matter whether I have a lot of different kind of doctors here, contractors or employed physicians. They're all really dear to me. So that's the answer to that.
I'm glad you opened the doors there, because I think a lot of folks, when we're starting early as clinicians, we see the administrators coming down the hall as the enemy or someone that's going to correct us. And I think hopefully everyone's listening to what you said, that you're actually there to support and help and love and care and help them succeed. And I think we in the junior ranks have to be open-minded, be flexible. Leaders are learners, learners are leaders. And if you do that and keep in mind, I think it's a good partnership, because there's always someone going to be ahead of you and side of you and behind you. And if you think of it as collegial and collaborative rather than hierarchical, I think good things happen. I'm glad you're the kind of leader that cares, and this shows for sure. I can say and attest to that. I can knock on wood and say you're a friend, a colleague. And I felt the warmth, and I think if other leaders learn from you too, not just junior attendings, I hope other leaders listen to this too, because it's easy to forget the compassion side of why we do what we do and to care for others. when you do that, good things happen. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even as, putting my law hat on, the law hat is helping me to not rush to judgment, because physicians get accused. And there's always two sides to a story. And I think generally that's what our physician medical staff leadership understands as well. But I'm very, very, I stay as neutral and as non-judgmental about any accusation until the facts and so forth are investigated. And so my approach is always open. Let me hear what's happening, empathetic, because 9 times out of 10 is a whole different story. And as an advocate, as a lawyer, I'm in an advocacy role. It's very important for me to advocate for that physician and represent the physician and as good as light as possible, because for one instant to ruin everything that they've done over the years, all the lies that they say, is not something that we should do. In light of and I'll go there, in light of the fact that we are facing physician shortages. So we don't have the same wiggle room to just discard doctors like little widgets. Well, we don't need you to see it. We're hitting a major crisis. And if we don't start treating our doctors with real dignity and respect, authentic dignity and respect, they're going to go out into all our competitors, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go elsewhere if they're not treated the way they should be and fairly should be. So,
and to your point, sometimes it's an unhappy ending with their personal lives because they feel they hate a dead end.
Yeah.
So no, for sure. You're leading to a little bit indirectly about, not sleeping well at night when you have to confront a physician and so forth, but it's also about the shortage of physicians. Where do you see the future of medicine? What's your take on the future, the promises, the negatives maybe that young physicians should be mindful of to shape a better future for medicine?
Yeah, this is a critical period when we're talking about 30,000 physician shortage in specialty care, in subspecialty care, surgical specialties, and even interventional radiology, obviously family in general practice. As these salaries, as these intuitions go up and up, it's natural to look for, back again, the word, what's your return on investment? Where can you make as much money and pay back those loans? So with all those competing interests, it's really a real challenge. So what I see in the future is we have to have hospitals like this to survive, to have trainees that we can recruit. Hospitals, there are smaller hospitals that don't have the same kind of residency programs. They're going to hurt pretty badly. And we're going to lose to those hospitals because they're going to pay mad money. But the bottom line is we need to have a source. That's number one. How we use the technology, AI, telehealth is a whole nother world. It's just beginning. Credentialing for having specialty training in telemedicine is going to be another huge avenue. So physicians are going to have a lot more options, particularly radiology. They don't want to be in a trauma center reading x-rays. They want to be at home, just do whatever. AI is going to take a lot of the burden off them, make their jobs easier, which is a good thing, I believe, in the future. And then where we are as physicians in our mid-levels, right, and our and our nurse practitioners, there's going to be a greater influx of that more than ever because we're so short of physicians. On the other end, patients are getting sicker, heavier, right, more complex than ever. You see these wounds that are just out of control, mostly morbid obesity, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, all these things overlay, and it's more than I've ever seen in my 4 decades. We used to have one big, bariatric wheelchair. Now every chair is the size that can fit a 300 or 400 pound patient. That landmark of sicker patients, poorer patients, is changing the landmark where you're going to have a separate people are commercial insurance are going to get all this stuff outpatient, boom, 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 paid for. All the real sick patients are going to end up in the hospitals like us in charity care. And it's going to create a real strain financially. It already is beginning. So I don't forecast I'm not being cynical, but there's some real challenges, I guess.
Yeah. And got to learn and watch what's happening and keep on top of it and pick each piece of the pie you can, go for.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, look, we're nearing our end of time. I want to ask you any final words of wisdom for our audience, whether it's related to leadership, life, being a father, dancer, athlete, anything. Final words of wisdom.
Well, never underestimate yourself. Always appreciate mentorship and feedback, honest feedback from people that you entrust. People coming in and out of your lives that can absolutely change your life and change your thinking. Take advantage of those, because those are the angels that are coming trying to help you. Without being too religious, those are the angels that are helping you. Take that and run with it. And as I said, have fun, enjoy your life. Don't take it too seriously. And when you face disappointment, look at it as an opportunity. You know, we all face disappointments. I've been told no. I can't tell you how many times, Shishir. How many times? No, you're diving in rough. No, no, no. And I just don't accept no for an answer. And that's the kind of determination you have to look within yourself. Really, if this is where you want to go, then you go for it. And that's a lot of internal introspection. That as a young person, it takes heart to do. And in this day, it's people are looking for social media answers and internet answers. It's all right here. You know, the answer lies right here.
Be yourself before you look outside.
Yeah.
Dr. Waters, I can't thank you enough. This was a treat for me. I learned so much about you. I hope everyone else did. I would want to do this for another hour. I just want to go out for coffee or dinner and talk more and maybe pick up. I play tennis more, by the way, so I don't know.
Okay.
Basketball.
Oh, no. I have all kind of players come and play, but I just had dinner with a bunch of docs, spontaneous, last Thursday night, and they're all from all parts. They're from Chandler. They're just wonderful, you know, and it's this type of relationships, they really matter.
No, staying healthy, having fun, great times.
Yeah.
Love to connect with you later, sir. Have
Absolutely.
Great week. Thank you for jumping on.
Thank you again, man. Thank you for your time.
Take care.